So hello everyone, I'm Charlie, usually behind the camera, but for a very special guest, I'm stepping in front of the camera to have a conversation with Bianca Adler, who I met at base camp last year when she was attempting to become the youngest Australian to reach the highest point on Earth, and this year we'll be coming back to try and do it again. So Bianca, thank you very much for joining us on Everest.Live.
Thank you for having me. It was so nice to meet you last time.
I mean, since your summit attempt last year, obviously you had a bit of a viral moment where everyone saw your video at Camp 4 and I guess the hardship that you were going through. Obviously gained so much attention because there was such a real feeling of suffering. Having seen that, why are you going back to do it again? Why are you coming back for more?
Well, I think, first of all, when I decided to post those videos, I posted them in late September or mid-September of last year. So that was months and months after I had come back from Everest. And I just saw that I had these videos in my phone and I should just post them and, what could happen. And I definitely didn't expect them to get many views at all. I'd never received any criticism online really before that. And yeah, I mean, it was very shocking to me, but I think the tricky thing with those videos, it's only the videos where I look really bad that go viral. And I can't help that. And other people can't help seeing just the ugly videos of myself. But yeah, I mean, it is more interesting to watch a video of someone struggling on Everest.
That's why people love Everest.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of people don't know how much fun I had on the expedition apart from those 2 days at Camp 4 where I, recorded those videos. And, I think the most viral one was at base camp afterwards. And even then in those videos, my face looks awful. It looks like I have frostbite. It's mainly just sunburn, really. And my voice sounds so bad because of the bottled oxygen I was using, really. And it does sound like I was dying. I wasn't really close to dying, but yeah, I mean,
great.
yeah. So it was really hard, obviously, but yeah, I wasn't close to dying and I really had so much fun on the expedition. And yeah, I'm just excited to go back.
Like, just talk a little bit about the conditions at which you tried to do your first summit push of Everest at age 17.
Yeah, so I decided to go in the second weather window. So there wouldn't be as many people. So I went up and the weather did look pretty good, I think, from memory. We were obviously looking at lots of different weather models and they were saying somewhat different conditions, but they were overall pretty good. When you leave base camp to when you summit, there's about 4 or 5 days. So yeah, the weather was getting a little bit worse. Usually when you go from Camp 3 to 4, you arrive at Camp 4 mid-morning or start of the afternoon, and then you leave that night for the summit. And that night was extremely windy. So we had to stay that first night at Camp 4. So then I already had one night at Camp 4, which most people don't even do. And then the next night I attempted. So I left at about 8 p.m. from Camp 4. I don't think anyone attempted the night before, but the night I was going, there were a lot of people going, maybe 30 other people. And yeah, the weather was pretty horrible the whole time going up. There was a lot of wind on my face, but I was just trying to keep a positive mindset and I felt quite good physically. Of course, no one feels 100% up there. And then I slowly started to see people coming down. But I always want to judge it based off how I feel as well. And, maybe by the time I get up there, the weather might clear up or if I just keep going. And then I got to the balcony, which is sort of one of the first sort of milestones on the summit push. And that's at about 8,400 meters. And it was just extremely windy and cold, but I was okay. And then I just decided to keep going and then my fingers and toes started feeling really numb and cold. And I think I was one of the last people to be turning around, but I'm not sure. There was snow blowing everywhere that you couldn't really see what was going on. And then I turned around and went back to Camp 4. And then I stayed that night at Camp 4. And then the next night I tried again, but I was too stuffed, too tired. And yeah, I couldn't go for more than 2 hours and went back down. Yeah.
So, I mean, after that, obviously, you have that video of you at Camp 4 and at base camp. And it's just interesting you're saying like that's one of the the first times you've really received this negativity. What was it that people seem to have such an issue with?
I mean, it seemed like everything about me, people found a way to judge. Just the fact that I was on Mount Everest, that was a big thing. And just, the rubbish, everything like that. And I mean, part of the reason I recorded that video in the first place was because I know after expeditions, I can often forget how hard it is.
Mm.
And so I wanted to just, remember that this is really hard. And if I do come back, I really need to train. Not that I felt unfit, but just it's really hard. And so it did sound a little bit like I might have been complaining. And people are like, well, this is your choice. Like, why did you put yourself through this? The most common comment was completely optional, by the way. Some of them even had millions of likes, like a comment. And yeah, it's optional, but they don't know how fun the whole expedition was and how I really, really enjoyed being on Everest 99.9% of the time.
Like you kind of referred a good few times there to, you love the whole expedition so much. What was, I guess, for you the best part?
Oh, there were so many parts that I loved. I mean, I really liked the actual climbing up the mountain because, I mean, I really have such a passion for being in the mountains and for climbing them. But then also just the atmosphere at base camp and just meeting so many people that
100
are
games of
so
cards a
inspiring.
day.
Yeah, just playing cards, just hanging around with people. And you all have a little bit of fear, or at least I did, had a little bit of fear going to go up. But I was just trying to live in the moment at base camp, what I was doing down there, feeling safe. I really liked all the climbing as well. I mean, yeah, the ice fall, I was terrified to go through the
Mm.
first time, but that was one of my favorite parts. I thought that was so fun. And then going on the Lhotse face, going from camp 3 to 4 was definitely my favorite day. It was just, I mean, it's just steep, long climbing, but I just liked getting into a rhythm. The views were great, just trying to stay calm and, take it easy because I thought I was going for the summit that evening.
You're there with your parents and they've also summited Everest. Whenever you were pushing on to try and summit, when so many people were turning back, was like, was there an element of you wanted to keep going to not like let down or disappoint your parents because they have done this? Or what was there any sort of aspect about that as you were going?
It's tricky. I did radio with my dad, who was at Camp 2 whilst I was climbing up and making the decision to turn around. And I was just explaining the conditions to him. But he was super supportive the whole time. I mean, probably radioed maybe 3 times on my summit attempt when I was like, the weather is really bad right now. Like, and he was just making sure, because obviously at 8,000 meters, like there is very little oxygen going to your brain. And sometimes you're not thinking straight. And I think he just wanted to make sure that I was making the right decision. And he was never forcing me to do anything. And yeah, he was just like, well, I'm not there. Like, you're the one that has to judge these conditions. Like, if you feel like it's unsafe and not right for you, you can turn around. And then it was really just when my fingers and toes were starting to get frostbite or starting to feel like they were getting frostbite. And yeah, that's when I made the call, because when it's uncomfortable, like I can keep going if it's uncomfortable. That's why I do all this training. So I have all the experiences on mountains. And yeah, there were people that were around the same summit date as I did. I don't know if they summited or not, but there were people that got serious
Mm.
frostbite. And when I did make the decision to turn around, it did feel like an obvious decision to make. And I sort of felt, like I'm not risking losing my fingers to get to the summit.
So you were talking about, you used to live in the French Alps. How did you find your way into the sport?
So, well, in the French Alps, it's quite normal to do, well, in the town that we lived, it's quite normal to do lots of hiking and sort of just basic rock climbing as a family. So everyone around us did lots of outdoor sports. So it was just a normal thing to do as a family. And yeah, I would just ask to go on sort of harder things, and I gradually just progressed. And then I think my first sort of big mountain, I guess the most prominent thing that comes to my head first is when I climbed Mont Blanc in France, because it's the biggest mountain in the Alps,
How
and
old were you when you did it?
I was 12.
Right.
And I, well, just when I really started getting into the outdoor sports, yeah, you hear all these men that are my dad's age talking about how they did Mont Blanc and how hard it was. And I was like, okay, that is my life goal. I'm going to do Mont Blanc. And then I did it like, I don't know
before
how
you were
long
a
after, but
teenager?
yeah, yeah. And it was extremely hard, like really, really hard for me to do at that time. But I had so much fun. I think I was, for so long, that was the best day of my life. And yeah, and I was just like, okay, I need to do more of this. And yeah, Dad would take me on some more climbs. Yeah, we went to Aconcagua in Argentina. That was 7,000 meters, and I was able to do that at 14. We visited Everest Base Camp, which, yeah, obviously I saw Everest for the first time. And yeah, that was also incredible. I knew, okay, I'm going to climb Everest now after setting Mont Blanc as my life goal and climbing it a few months later. I need to go bigger. So yeah.
You grew up in that environment and you have a family that with a long-standing history with climbing, but it is something that has been very like genuinely your passion from probably as long as you can remember now.
Yeah, definitely. It's so hard for me to pinpoint why I like being in the mountains so much. It's just I like having the views and being physically in the mountains, but I think what's really important for me is that I'm really pushing myself in the mountains as well. I think it's that combination of having a nice view with the extreme conditions and feeling like I am working really, really hard.
I know there's a lot of climbers who are trying Everest, and in the year they might be going lots of different places to prepare for it. What is your last, let's say, 10 months look like in terms of life in general and prep for coming back this year?
It was only since about October or September last year where I actually decided to go back and reattempt because I'm in my final year of school and it's always a little bit tricky with schoolwork. Um, but I've just been training very hard, like running, doing lots of endurance, cardio, strength training, but then also lots of interval training, getting my heart rate up very high. And then in January of this year, as a family, we went to Kilimanjaro. So that's almost 6,000 meters. And it was just really nice to be back at a bit of altitude and just get that feeling. And obviously, Kilimanjaro is lower than Everest, a lot lower than Everest. It's about the height of Camp 1 or a little lower than that. Then you get up to that altitude quite a bit faster than you would on Everest. So it does feel a little higher than you do at Camp 1 at
Mm.
Everest. But not that being on Kilimanjaro just helps you acclimatize because you lose the acclimatization pretty quickly afterwards. But just I like that for getting that feeling of being at altitude. And then now after Kilimanjaro, I've really amped up my training and I just do lots and lots of Stairmaster at the gym, hiking, just getting my heart rate up really high, strength training. Yeah, after Everest last year, I just noted, I mean, I knew I would be back, but I
Mm.
noted that I wanted to do a little bit more strength training and because I lost so much muscle mass when I was over there and I did feel pretty weak, sort of even just in the tent, sitting up, I was just like, whoa, like I have muscles anymore. Um, and yeah, so I decided to just work that a bit more at the gym beforehand. And so I'm just trying my best to do everything I can and hopefully this training will pay off.
You have got yourself through being so dedicated and passionate about, I guess, your craft. Have gained like a pretty big social media following. As someone who is like you love climbing for like the purity of it, do you in a way wish you could just like climb in peace, or do you like having that sort of like connecting with your followers, updating people with where you are in the world?
It's hard to know because I mean, I gained the followers when I was on Everest last season. I only had, um, I don't know, maybe 1,000 followers or a little bit more. And then I've only gained these followers since September or October last year. So it's sort of hard to know, but I think with the platform that I have, and as much negativity that comes with it, I think there's a lot of positivity, and I want to use it as best I can to inspire other people to get outdoors and get into the mountains, and just to show that it's not. I don't want it to be elitist, and I think it's for everyone. Definitely not being on Everest is for everyone, but just going for a hike, just getting outdoors. I think just embracing a bit of discomfort is really important. And then I'm excited to do that on Everest, I think, just to show people what it's like. And I really want to try and show people how fun it is to be on Everest for the most part, and how I can still have fun with it being extremely challenging and difficult. And I'm just trying to show right now the training that I'm doing. And then even when I'm on the mountain, I just like sharing these moments with other people. I know some people like to be alone in the mountains and be at peace, but I just like having fun with people, sharing these moments. I like seeing other people enjoy themselves in the mountains. It makes me really happy.
I mean, that's a really nice way to approach it in something that can end up being quite toxic, but just to embrace the fun of it. How can people follow your climb? What's your Instagram or TikTok, or where can people find you?
My Instagram is Bianca_Adler1, and on there there'll be a link to my blog, which I will try my best to post from every day on my Everest expedition. I'll try and upload some photos, and then I also have a link to a tracker where you can physically follow me on Everest and see where I am on the mountain. And then my TikTok is, I think it's just Bianca with 2 A's, Adler. I'm more active on Instagram, definitely, but I'll try and post on TikTok more often on this expedition.
Okay. Well, Bianca, thank you so much for giving us your time. I know it's 6 o'clock in the morning with you in Australia, but yeah, thank you, and we will see you on the mountain.
Thank you so much for having me. We'll see you there.